for example, we started a few days beforehand with rehearsals, and we were doing for people. So it can be very difficult. It can be very challenging. You know, we're humans. We're not machines. And so some days are better than others. Some days you have more energy. Some days you don't. Maybe you didn't sleep well. Maybe you get sick. A lot of people actually fell ill because of the nature of the rhythm of what was happening with the World Cup, because there were so many games and there was so much work to be done. So it's intense. It's very, very intense. But we do it because we love it, you know, and at the end of the day, it is worth doing. But there's so many hours and days and weeks, depending on what it is, depending what the project is, or depending what the specific show is, that goes into preparing something like that. So, yeah.
Right. So that basically means the masterpiece takes a lot of time to build, actually. Like Rome wasn't built in a day, as they say.
Absolutely.
And that's
Exactly.
And talking about the hard part of it, so Semra, like for 35% of our viewers are, you know, of our listeners are female audience. So like to every girl watching here, or even any guy for that matter, who, you know, wants to become someone as big as you, someone who can actually have a foothold in the industry, someone who can inspire people. So what would be your message to them, and what would you say, like, if there's someone who is starting out wanting to become a sports broadcasting presenter, what would be your message to them?
I would say just go for it. I think now there's so many opportunities, and the sports industry is so massive. There's so many different ways that you can get into it, and everyone has a very unique path. No one is going to have the same path as someone else. You know, I started late, actually. I was 25 when I got into journalism, and at the time, in my mind, I was thinking, wow, I'm so far behind. Everybody started when they were 20 or they're 18 or whatever. You know, I'm going to have to make up for a lot of missed time, which was kind of silly in the end, because everything takes the time that it's supposed to take for each unique individual, you know? And so I would say persistence is really important. Don't give up. There's always going to be obstacles along the way. But those that decide to give up, I mean, they fall by the wayside. But those who don't give up are the ones who ultimately, eventually get to where they want to be. But it does require a lot of sacrifice. It does require a lot of commitment. And you have to really be passionate about it. It has to be worth it for you to want to go as far as you can, because it is a lot of work. It's very difficult, but it can be done. There's no question about it. People do make it to the very top. So I would say just figure out who you are, what your voice is, how you want to utilize it, and find out what makes you unique, and use that as your selling point, because there's a place and there's a space for everyone. There really is. So it's just about finding your niche, or creating your niche, if that's the case, if it doesn't exist, and then sharing with the world your unique personality and who you are. So something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder, for someone who does so much work in sports. You mentioned you have 10-hour days, and I must say you don't look like when you are doing your shows, you don't look like someone who's been at the office for the last 6 to 7 or even more 8 to 9 hours.
The beauty of makeup, my friend.
No, that's also pretty nice. Subtle way to get many beauty products companies to take notice. But I mean, I couldn't help but ask that you have worked for so many, and you continuously work during your breaks. Are you like completely away from football, or even then you are like, okay, I'll just watch the team that I like the most?
It depends on the time of year. Sometimes I do have to just turn off the phone and step away and say, okay, I really need to recharge the batteries, because my mind is just too saturated with too much football, because I've got La Liga, I've got the Champions League, then I've got some other things related to women's football every now and again. I'm also doing esports and event hosting, so I've got a lot of different things going on at once, and so it can be at times a bit too much. And so it's so important to look after your health. It's so important, because if you don't look after your health and your energy, then you're gonna burn out at some stage. So it's really important to look at this like a marathon rather than a sprint. So you have to take breaks every now and again, and sometimes even if you don't want to, you really do have to step away from football. and just realize that there's a whole great big world out there full of all kinds of other things that it's really important to get stuck into, you know, art, culture, food, travel, friends, reading, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. For everyone it's different. But enjoy life, live life, you know. And then when you come back to football, you can appreciate it a lot more and you can enjoy it a lot more. So it just kind of depends on the moment, I would say. But yeah, in short, sometimes I do watch other football, and then sometimes I just switch off completely and just say, okay, I don't want to know anything. I'll learn about it when I come back online.
Yeah. So Anukarsh sir, I think this entire episode so far has been quite fascinating, quite insightful. Anything that you have to add at the end before we wrap this up and keep our promise to Semra of not taking too much of our time? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lovely way to end the week of love with a lovely guest here. And what I can say is that although, you know, I had started my question asking that what is your advice to a young girl who is, you know, looking to start out, but I think I feel like that young girl who feels very inspired right now at this point of time. And honestly, thank you so much, Semra, for being there, for actually taking out the time for this. And one last advice I would like to say is, like, if you take out time to watch the English Premier League, please do not watch Liverpool. They have been pathetic this season.
Well, you know what? I tell you what, I was actually a Liverpool fan growing up. So.
Oh.
I grew up on a diet of the Premier League and the World Cup, so we didn't have access to really many other leagues when I was growing up in the States. So Spanish football became a thing later on in life for me, but I was a Liverpool fan growing up.
No wonder you're wearing red today.
Yeah, I know. See, it works for Valentine's Day, or the week of love. It works for Liverpool. It works for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's about it. Thank you, Semra, for taking out the time. We really, if stars align for us, we probably get you on our show sometime soon. Again, 1 year, 2 years, whenever it is. I'm sure it has been one of the most amazing episodes that we have done. Thank you very much, and see you soon.
Thank you very much to both of you as well. It's been a pleasure. I will very quickly say about Shah Rukh Khan that he is wonderful, lovely, so down to earth, so humble, a great guy.
Yeah.
It was honestly a real privilege to meet him. So he was fantastic.
We will definitely make sure that he hears this part. So absolutely. Thank you very much.
Good.
Thank you. Good night. Take care. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
See you soon.
Thank you.